Good evening, everyone. Hope my voice is audible. Good evening, everyone. Hope my voice is audible. Can anyone confirm in the chat box that my voice is audible? Can anyone confirm in chat box if my voice is audible? Okay, so I'm hearing yes, it's audible. Yeah, today we have a very interesting session on the protocol. So this was based on the requirement which was being asked by many of the people that they wanted to know about the clinical trial protocol and how protocol is being used in clinical trials and how it can be asked in interviews. So today's topic will be on live interview based question and answers on a particular document which is clinical trial protocol. So before we jump into the topic, we will know first what I am going to talk today. So I'll first talk about clinical trial protocol. What is the importance of clinical trial protocol and how protocol is being used? Then I'll be taking some few questions from live Q&A. Then based on it, I'll be trying to answer those questions that how do we answer in live interviews, how do you answer those things, we'll be answering it. So without any delay, let's jump into the topic of live Q&A or interview based Q&A for clinical trial protocol. So first of all, my name is Mujib. I am the founder and CEO of Clinosol Research. I am the trainer for clinical research and data management and pharmacovigilance and medical writing and so on. So I am running the organization which is Clinosol from 2019. So this is my introduction. I am basically a pharmacologist and did masters in clinical research also. And coming back to today's topic, which is clinical trial protocol. So the first document which is being used in clinical trials is your protocol. So whatever study you are designing, wherever you are doing, whatever activities you are doing, the first document you are going to work is your clinical trial protocol. So clinical trial protocol will give an entire guidelines that how clinical trial has to be conducted and how data has to be recorded and how monitoring should be done and how a reporting of SAEs or how ethical considerations or how the background information of clinical trial is being conducted. So based on the protocol, we have so many documents which we develop, including case report form, informed consent form, or any source document which are to be collected by the investigator. So protocol gives a familiar information to the investigator that what are the basic objectives and rationals and backgrounds and inclusion exclusion criteria and rest of things how we are going to do this. So first, let's understand what is the content of protocol, how protocol is being developed, and how the content of protocol looks like. So first of all, protocol is being developed by sponsor, particularly a medical writer develops this document called as clinical trial protocol. So once the sponsor develops a protocol, he sends it for the investigator for its review, and investigator will submit these documents to IRB, IEC for ethical review. And based on it, the document protocol is being sent to your regulatory authorities, and regulatory authorities also will approve this protocol. So in a nutshell, a protocol is being prepared by sponsor, reviewed and approved by ethics committee, and also your regulatory body, and used by your particularly investigator. So this is a nutshell that how protocol document is being prepared. And now once the protocol is approved, if the protocol is approved, then only you have to conduct a clinical trial. If a protocol is not approved, you cannot conduct a clinical trial. So this is one more point, very important point, which we have to understand. Now, what it contains, what are the details or what are the contents of protocol, how we can identify, okay, what are the contents of protocol as per ICH GCP. So ICH GCP section 6 clearly specifies that what should be the content of a protocol. So first one is protocol identification, protocol number or amendments or a date of approval, or who has approved, who have reviewed, and who have developed this protocol. So these are protocol identifications. Apart from that, we have an objective of study. So for what purpose you are doing this clinical trial? Because the objectives would be, most of times the objectives would be to know your safeties, or to know about your efficacies, or to know about the comparative study between a drug A and drug B, or to know about the patient's treatment of A or B. So based on it, we get the objective. So objectives might be a singular or primary objective, or it can be a secondary objective. So apart from objectives, you will have a background information that what exactly you are identifying, that you have a sufficient background information or rationale for that particular study. So for every study which you have designed, and for every study which you have put an objective, should have a rationale or background information that what drugs you have taken and how you are comparing with your A drug to B drug, and what are the data points or criteria you are testing for your showing its safety or efficacy. So now objective, and then you have background information and rationale. And the next one, most important one, which protocol will contain, is design of the study. So generally designs will be based on multiple things, multiple aspects, that what is the number of groups, number of treatment, number of subjects, number of visits, and all those things. We design the study based on the certain criterias. Some of the criteria we're designing is either it's a study is open label or a blinded, if a blinded, single blind, double blind, or triple blind, or it's a parallel study or crossover study, or observational or interventional, or it's a real world studies, or it's a active control or a placebo control, or a comparison with active drug or placebo control. So design of the study and pictorial representation of design of the study is being given in a proper way, that how the study can be done. So now based on the objectives which you have put, so say for example, you have put that we want to know our safety and efficacy. Based on it, you will decide what is the endpoints. Where do you want to stop the trial? Where do you want to end the trial? So that's what you call it as endpoints of the clinical trial. So endpoints also will depend on the clinical trial protocol, that what objectives you have put, when do you want to stop the trial, when the subjects are considered as responders, when the subjects are considered as non-responders. So based on it, you will design your endpoints. To reach to endpoints, there is one more thing which you have to understand, which is called as methodologies, or which is called as assessments. It includes your both safety assessments and efficacy assessments. What are the different methodologies or assessments or criteria which are going to collect from the subjects, based on which the clinical trial is being conducted? Apart from methodologies, you will be taking statistical considerations, including what is the justification for sample size, number of subjects taken, and what are the data points you are going to use for conduct of clinical trials. Or at the end, what is the analysis, what is the comparison between test drug or comparative drug, and how are we going to answer this analysis purpose, what methods or what formulas we are using when you are ending the clinical trials and analyzing the clinical trials. Apart from that, you will be giving inclusion and exclusion criteria, which is one more time it is called as the selection criteria. So the selection criteria will be completely based on what basis the subjects will be selected. Either it is what inclusion criteria, what exclusion criteria we have to give. Based on that, the study will be decided. Apart from that, you will be giving about sample size and number of centers and phase of trial, and how you are going to do a data collection of the subject's data. Apart from that, ethical considerations, what guidelines you are following, either it is GCP or regulatory guidelines or regulations, what are exactly you are following. Apart from that, you are going to put most important point is withdrawal criteria. When you are going to withdraw the subjects from the trial, study time points or the schedule of events, that how many subjects, how many visits and how many assessments have to be conducted also will be given very clearly in your protocol designs. So apart from this, how the SAE reporting will be done, what are the treatments which are available, details of the treatment which are available, what are the rescue medication, what are the prohibited medication, what are the rest, the concomitant medication which can be given. So the drug, test drug or reference drug, the rescue medications, the concomitant medications, or the treatment drugs or prohibited drugs which are being given has to be clearly mentioned on each visit. On each visit, what are the criteria have to be taken care, and for taking this assessment, what are the assessments to be taken care, and study endpoints, and also on each visit, the assessments which are being performed and the data which is being collected has to be given. So, in a nutshell, protocol contains protocol identification, objective, design, methodologies, statistical consideration, inclusion exclusion criteria, safety assessments, efficacy assessment, inclusion exclusion criteria, statistical analysis, and schedule of assessment, design of a trial, and adverse events and its reporting, and the data handling, record keeping, and also your SAE reporting in the clinical trials. So these are the information which are available in your document which is called as protocol. So protocol is used by all team members. It's used by investigator to know how the clinical trial is being conducted. It is being used by your CDM, clinical data manager, to know what data points have to be collected in your clinical trials. It's been used by statistician to understand that how stats has to be used. It's a standard document which is used while you are conducting clinical trial or recording the data or reporting the data or analyzing the data or conducting a monitoring or auditing of the clinical trial. So now I'll hold it for a minute here, and I'll probably take some couple of questions where I can answer this. So till now I have taken that what is a protocol. So as per ICH-GCP, a protocol is a document that describes about objective, design, methodologies, statistical consideration, and organization of trial. And who develops the protocol? The sponsor develops the protocol. Who uses? Investigator. Who reviews and approves? Its ethics committees and also regulatory authorities. So what are the contents of protocol? I have spoken so much about the content of protocol, that how the protocol is being developed and what are the most important criteria for the protocol. So now without any delay, I would like to take some questions from any of the students. What type of questions in interview you can be asked, or how we have to answer these questions? So most of times they will ask that what is protocol and what is the importance of protocol? Can you explain it? So when you are asked this question, you need to tell what is the definition of protocol as per ICH-GCP. What is the importance of protocol for each team members? Either it is clinical trials operations or data management or pharmacovigilance or regulatory authorities. So now I'm open for questions. You can ask questions. What can be possibly asked in interviews and how answers should be given in protocol. I'll hold it for a minute. If I get some couple of questions, I'll take it up. Yeah, so I have got a question. So the question is, how do you address potential ethical issues in the designs of clinical trials? See, now the problem is, as I have already said, that we have a most important thing which is called as ethical concerns in clinical trials, which generally the regulatory authorities or ethics committees takes a major action. So ethical considerations are paramount, a biggest concern in protocol design. And most important points which you have to consider is, first one is informed consent. The second one is privacy and confidentiality. Privacy and confidentiality. The third one is protection and safety. And fourth one is the risk and benefit. The risk and benefit. So these are the four things which are most important ethical considerations in protocol. So I'll repeat it. First one is informed consent. The second one is privacy and confidentiality. And third one is protection of safety and risk and benefit assessment of the subjects has to be majorly focused in the ethical issues in clinical trials. And the independent ethics committee will majorly look into these concerns, that how informed consent is being taken, what is the risk and benefit for conducting this clinical trials, or how the privacy or confidentiality and how the safety of the subjects are being protected or not, IRB IEC makes sure it reviews carefully. Without its review, they will not approve the clinical trials. So it means that we are having a very strong guidelines that what has to be considered for your ethical considerations, because ethical consideration is most important point which we have to take care. Okay, so I hope I have answered your question, Manjula. So any more questions anyone have, you can ask. I'll be happy to take answers from it. Okay, I'll wait for some more questions from the live audience. Okay, so I have got one more question. How do you handle protocol amendments, and what are the factors necessity such changes? See, the problem here is when protocol is developed and it is approved, we will have an assumption of A plus B is equal to C. It's a hypothesis. Always remember, clinical trial is hypothesis that A is equal to B. This is what is our design. You start a clinical trial, but during your clinical trial, you are collecting so much of data, so much of sites and all, and then you come to know that there are some changes has to be made in your protocol which are more concerned in your safety of the subjects. Now here comes the problem. So that is something which is called as you need to conduct your protocol amendments. So now when you are doing a protocol amendments, the biggest problem happens is the protocol amendments will impact the other respective teams. So whenever protocol amendment is being performed, never ever implement the protocol implementation, including in your situations where protocol amendment is being done by your sponsor. Protocol amendment has to thoroughly go a systematic process of review and approval from ethical committees and also regulatory authority. It means that any updates has to go through the ethical update from your IEC and also your regulatory authorities. Amendment has to be made only for scientific advancements. When there are safety concerns and when there are operational considerations like less subjects are getting enrolled, or the transparent communication should be every time taken care so that protocol amendment is being implemented to all stakeholders. The protocol amendment, if it is approved, it has to go with all thorough review by the ethics committee and also by the regulatory bodies and have to get approval before it is getting implemented. And why we are doing a protocol amendment is because there is a scientific advancement, or there is safety concerns, or there are operational concerns, or any issues you have identified while you are conducting the clinical trials. And now the communication is very key aspect in your protocol amendment. All the teams should be given a nicely that what are the updates we are going to get in your clinical trial protocol. So that's the answer which you have to try to give. Okay. How do you stay updated with latest development of clinical trial design and methodologies? See, the problem here is the latest clinical trial designs are adaptive designs, or basket designs, or umbrella designs, or decentralized designs, or QBDs, or your platform designs, or your virtual clinical trials. Now, this all designs are now considered as your the advancement of clinical trials, which makes sure the time is reduced, the quality is increased, and money is reduced. Time is reduced, money is reduced, but quality has increased. This is latest advancement designs. How do we keep updated ourselves? By attending multiple number of seminars, webinars, industry experts, conferences, symposiums, workshops. All these activities will make sure that you are keep on updating yourself with your trial designs and also your updated clinical trial information. My request would be attending international conferences. Attending international conferences will give you more advantages. That what are the latest amount of clinical trials, because every conference we are talking about decentralized trials nowadays. What is decentralized trials? The word itself is called as, it's not centralized location, it's a split location at a multiple locations or different locations how the clinical trial can be conducted. So it's a decentralized location how we are conducting the clinical trials. Now latest designs are very complex to understand, but if you attend multiple conferences or multiple industry experts, they can tell you that what are the updates we are going to get. And regulatory authorities also are giving very strict regulations and guidelines about the latest advancement of clinical trials. Recently, European Union or EMA has given very nice regulations about how the decentralized clinical trials are being conducted, and in during clinical or decentralized clinical trials or virtual clinical trials, how investigator or sponsor or the CRCs or the IRBs takes part in your particularly to your decentralized trial. Okay, now there is one more question: how do you ensure the patient safety and data integrity? See, there are two main concerns in any of the clinical trials. One is patient safety, and the second one is integrity of the clinical trials. So two things are very important in your clinical trials. One is patient safety, and one more is data integrity. Now, patient safety, it is done by rigorous monitoring of adverse events and serious adverse events. So whether the adverse events are being reported correctly, treated correctly, and monitored correctly, and followed up correctly. So patient safety is always ensured through rigorous identification, monitoring, prevention of your adverse events or serious adverse events. And it adverse event occurs when the drug is being misused or abused, or it is being used in an improper way. So patient safety comes in concern when the protocol deviations occurs. And coming back to, there is one more big thing which is called as data integrity. Data integrity is maintained by implementing the secured data collection system, which is, one more time, we have a very stringent regulations, including privacy, which is HIPAA, privacy and confidentiality, and security of data, which is 21 CFR Part 11, which is closed system and audit trail. And the data integrity can be achieved by employing the qualified professionals, and also by conducting regular audits to the employees and also the systems. The adverse events are promptly reported, whether they are being reported or not correctly, and corrective actions are being correctly taken or not as necessarily. So now patient safety is being done properly on adverse events, and how adverse events are being rigorously monitored, and how the adverse events are being prevented. Data integrity is maintained by secure data collection systems, and also by qualified resource professionals, and also by conducting necessary inspections and audits or functions. On the adverse events has to be promptly reported to all the regulatory authorities, and corrective actions has to be taken by your sponsor for conducting. So I think I have answered four questions which students are putting it till now. So I'm still open for more questions. If anyone have more questions, they can put it to me. Okay. So I'll take one more question if someone puts a question to me, or I'll take by one more question. I'll take it from the students if students puts this question. Okay. Guys, can anyone put your questions if anyone wants to put? Okay. I hope I have taken all your questions. I hope I have taken all your questions. I'll give. Okay. So now one more question patients are asking, or one more questions which most students will be asked about patient recruitment. Patient recruitment. How do you recruit a patient based on the inclusion exclusion criteria? The inclusion and exclusion criteria are being decided based on your strategies as per your therapeutic area. As per your therapeutic area, what are the things? What are the aspects you have? Based on it, you get your patient recruitment. So patient recruitment is always depend on inclusion and exclusion criteria. Now we are doing it as targeted patient recruitment. So what is targeted patient recruitment is by using different databases and tools, wherein we can pick the subjects who are having such particular disease by using EHRs and EMRs. And we are using social medias for enrolling the subjects. And also we are using apps for recruitment of subjects. And also we are using IVRS technologies for recruitment of clinical trial subjects. So we are using multiple strategies for recruiting the patient into clinical trial. But one more time, this all systems have to be validated, and this all systems have to be made sure that it is as per your 21 CFR part 11. So this all details of your subject recruitment should be as per your 21 CFR part 11 or ethical considerations for submission to the regulatory bodies. So one more time, the patient recruitment will be based on targeted recruitment strategies and leveraging on social medias, and also on site specific understanding of recruitment based on the inclusion and exclusion criteria. And there are some questions which are being asked about the budget, and there are some questions asked about the specific timeline constraints based on your project management knowledge. Based on project management knowledge, they are being put some of the questions in protocol. So generally they will ask questions which are being discussed as how we are discussing, that who prepares the protocol, what is the content of protocol, why protocol has to be given, all these things will be given. So now one more time, we have to make sure that the protocol is up to date and protocol is being done in a proper way so that it can be understood everyone and it can be implemented as same as it. So one more question, what's role of DSMB in clinical trials? See, DSMB is Data Safety Monitoring Board who analyzes or who reviews the interim analysis data. So they have a clinical trial protocol and they start conducting clinical trials, and during at intervals they stop the clinical trials and they analyze the data. So they analyze the data and they try to see that data, how the data is speaking. So whether we should continue the trial or whether we should stop the trial, whether we should continue the trial or whether we should stop the trial. Based on this analysis, they will give suggestions to sponsor, who DSMB, what, whether to continue the trial or whether to update the trial or whether to modify the trial or whether to discontinue the trial. So three things they will give: continue, terminate, or modify. And DSMB is a group of a team members who have a very good knowledge about the clinical trial protocol. So now the role of DSMB is to understand about the protocol and to implement and to suggest the changes to the sponsor. And they interact and communicate continuously with the sponsor. Continuously with the sponsor, they will be interacting, saying that how the studies have to be performed or conducted or reviewed. So a DSMB is very much independent review board, and they also analyze the safety and efficacy data during your clinical trials. And it's always attending the DSMB meetings is very important, and they have to implement the DSMB recommendations also. So this makes sure that the clinical trials gets more time approval very quickly. Okay, so I think I have answered that question. Even Shakti has asked that question. Thank you. I'll take one more question. Last question I'll take. If anyone have last question, I'll take last question. Anyone have one last question? Okay. So I hope the session was very much useful, and I would be expecting one more time to give any suggestions for next week, Saturday YouTube live, what topic you wanted to discuss on live to understand about the interview based live Q&A, how we are going to handle this. So today I think we have discussed some 5 or 6 questions, and I have discussed about the content of protocol and how protocol is being used and how it is being prepared and who is going to review and approve it. So thank you so much. Please do give the feedbacks about the session, and also please give suggestions that what topic you wanted next week, so that we can continue one more live session next week. Thank you so much. Let's meet next week with one more live session for interview based question and answers in your clinical research. Thank you.